Well, it's still running. Do you want me to click finish? Hey everyone, sorry having some tech glitches. It's been one of those weeks.
Oh, it has. Sorry everyone. You're really getting to know us now.
Yes. Hope everyone had a great week. We're having some pretty significant weather swings here in Omaha. It was in the 80s much of the week, and we're getting down into the 30s tonight. So fun times. Fall, I guess, is finally starting to get here.
Yep, it does finally feel like fall, and my head knows it.
Yeah. But it's K-State Friday, so
It is.
Not all things are bad.
Yep, we're all in our K-State today.
Yeah.
And sorry we weren't here last week. Just had some sickness running through the home, but we're glad to be back with y'all this week. And there's a lot of news to get to, so why don't you want to jump in with the first thing?
Yeah, we're going to dive in, and the theme of today's live stream is going to be discussing price increases that are coming out. DIRECTV stream announced one, and Nicole's going to yesterday, and Nicole's going to talk about that here in a minute. But it started earlier this week, late last week, that Wall Street Journal is reporting that Netflix is seriously considering raising their prices in the very near future. Last time they did that was last year, and I would assume, just reading the tea leaves, that this was likely they were waiting for the writer's strike that completed a week or two ago for that to be finalized and to be wrapped up. And there are discussions to, and anyway, the Journal reported it's likely going to happen after the actor strike is finalized. And they're seriously just in discussions now, but Netflix is in discussions to raise prices in several territories around the globe, and it would first start with us and in Canada. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Bobby. Thanks for joining.
Yes. And
you're a new cord cutter, too. Awesome.
So, yeah, as we all know that they cut the basic plan. I would assume that that's going to be hit the most since they make more money off of the ad-supported plans. But it will be interesting to see how much they raise prices. I would assume at least several dollars, but that's just speculation right now. And then also Discovery Plus announced a price increase on their ad-free plan, going up $2 from $6.99 to $8.99 per month, plus taxes. They announced that on Tuesday, and the price increase is effective basically immediately. You will see it in the next billing cycle or on November 2nd. After November 2nd, the company said their ad light tier, as they call it, will stay the same price, which means it'll be $4.99 a month. And saw that there's already discussions if this is going to push Discovery Plus subscribers over to Max. Who knows? Max does not have everything on Discovery Plus. Does have a fair bit, so it'll be interesting to see if it does cause Discovery Plus customers to go over, even though there's not a huge amount of overlap.
Yeah. And I wanted to say real quick, Woodage commented on Sling being the only one that hasn't had a price increase, and I do think that one is coming, unfortunately, for them as well.
Yeah, I believe Sling will be, I think it was November of last year was their last price increase, and they've had some shifts in their upper level of management, and I believe I read that Dish just raised their prices last week by $5, so it would not surprise me at all to see Sling by the end of the year to raise their prices. And Netflix, interestingly, is the only profitable streaming service out there right now, and that has not raised their prices. Last time was January of last year, so you're looking at what, 18, 20 months. So, I mean, it's not too bad, but still, we don't like to see price increases.
And you could make an argument that they did increase their prices with their password sharing crackdown.
Yes.
And from what I've read, that is
Absolutely.
the reason that they are the only profitable, because they were not profitable before they did that. They were in a lot of trouble financially, if we all remember that. But that password sharing crackdown and the revenue it generated for them has really changed. And so that's, I think, also why we can expect that to be, we know it's coming for Disney and Hulu and all that.
Yeah, it is. And more people are cutting services, cutting streaming services, sorry. And I've read numerous articles over the last week or so where more and more people, as a means to save money and dealing with inflation and everything, are cutting more services. And you know what? That's a good thing for us as consumers. And thankfully, we still have that ability to do that. And it just really should encourage you to churn as you can. And there's several that we're waiting on. We like Billions. We're waiting for that to get near to where we can just subscribe to the Showtime bundle for a month, watch it, and get rid of it.
Same thing with Apple TV. There's a few Apple TV Plus. There's a few series like that. So y'all should definitely do that.
Yeah.
If you aren't already. And another price increase to jump to is DIRECTV Stream. And of course, it wouldn't be AT&T if it wasn't confusing. So I'll just go over kind of how things are changing. The entertainment package currently costs $75 a month. That's going up to $80. The choice package costs $100. That's and this is on November 5th. That's going up to $109. Ultimate is $110. That's going up to $120. And then Premier is $155 right now, and it's going up to $165. So they do note that if you use DIRECTV Stream to subscribe to Showtime or AMC Plus, you'll also have to pay $1 more per month per service for that. They are still offering a $30 off your first 3 months, and people seem to think that's going to continue for a while. But the reason they're giving for this is for the price hike. DIRECTV Stream is said that, like other distributors, we're adjusting our pricing because of the higher cost networks are charging to distribute national and local programming. We remain focused on delivering the best value. So what they're referencing there is their fight with Nexstar, which happened in July. More than 200 stations in 100 markets went dark on DIRECTV platforms and didn't return until September 17th. So they're claiming that they're paying more now to Nexstar, so they're going to pass that on to consumers. And then one other piece of news about DIRECTV Stream to cover real quick is that it looks like AT&T is looking to sell. It has a 70% stake in DIRECTV and DIRECTV Stream, and it has begun to explore options for unloading that.
And these are just initial.
Yeah, really initial. Nothing that Bloomberg is reporting that people familiar with the discussions. It's very early. There's no pending deal or anything yet. But I just think it's worth bringing up because AT&T is a telecom giant, and it's looking at the market and the space and weighing its options on whether or not it makes if it's going to be profitable for it to keep it or unload it. And that is America's third largest pay TV provider, DIRECTV is. So it's kind of a big deal.
It is, and we have Sling. We use Sling as well during the college football season, and then get rid of it. That's really, especially if you can use an antenna, that's really the most affordable way to get college football, most of it. And Christy, we agree with you. I think overall, DIRECTV Stream isn't a bad service. Have always been impressed with their video quality. They've got a relatively decent lineup of channels, but that price is just, and now more so. And their last increase, I believe, was in January of this year. So. It's just too much, especially, when you get up to those higher level plans, you're paying as much as cable, if not more. And you get a lot, but it's too much. And then,
Thankfully, we can still cancel without any
Yeah.
fees. Let's hope that never goes away.
yeah, and they do at least offer a 5-day free trial. So if you're in a pinch and you want to catch something, some sports or something, you can still do that. Moving next, it has come out that Bally, so Diamond Sports Group, their parent company, in a attempt to try and basically save themselves, they're trying to make a deal with Hulu Live and YouTube TV. And there has been a lot of questions about that. So back in 2020, so about 3 years ago, they both dropped the Bally Sports RSNs. Now they're hoping to get new deals with both Hulu and YouTube TV. And the real question is now, will both sides be able to come to an agreement at a price both sides can agree to, or will both Disney and YouTube TV, will they walk away? And you look at Fubo and DirecTV Stream, you're looking at what, $14, $15 extra a month on top of that. So that puts YouTube TV at what, $88, $87, and puts Hulu Live at $90 or just slightly above that. And that's really would be painful, especially for people that don't want it. And that's really is the issue. And Bally Sports is reportedly hoping to use the revenue from those deals, prospective deals that they're hoping on, with streaming services to help them pay its upcoming bills to NBA and NHL teams, and whose seasons are going to be starting here in the not too distant future within the next few weeks. Those payments are supposed to begin here this month or on November 1st. So this is a imminent issue for them. And if Bally wants to keep all of the teams that they currently have, it will have to pay about $560 million to them, though it would supposedly be paid in installments over the season. And it's reported that the Pelicans have already been paid, but that leaves 14 teams left. Now, with all of this happening, the future of Bally Sports could very well rest on Disney, Hulu's parent company, and YouTube TV being willing to accept a deal to bring back RSNs. And we had a discussion in one of our videos this week, people asking about that, and I could see how it would be something given as an add-on, and I would more so see YouTube TV offering it as an add-on. But if it's offered as an add-on, will that really provide enough revenue for Diamond Sports, for Bally? And it remains to be seen. And thankfully, the NBA, I know at least, has said that they will be able to broadcast games, but this is really coming to a head for Bally, and especially with NBA season and NHL season getting ready to start back up. So it's really something to watch out for.
Okay. Well, taking a quick shift from sports to news for a second, and then we'll come back to sports again. But this was interesting to us. So DirecTV warned Warner Brothers Discovery that its streaming of CNN risks violating a contract between the two of them. New York Times reported this, and if you have Max, you've watched, I know we have seen, you can now go to the top on the menu and you can bring up, I think is it live news?
Yes, it is live.
And the Bleacher Report sports add-on is also up there at the top, right across the top. But yeah, you can click on live and bring up a live feed of CNN. And we even tested it, switched over to Sling and looked at it, and the only difference is like in the corner it says like CNN on Max when you're on Max, and then otherwise it just says CNN. So DirecTV's not happy about that, and I'm sure they're mentioning this because they're afraid of losing subscribers, people who maybe are only keeping DirecTV because of CNN. Now they can get it a lot cheaper through Max. So, it's just we wanted to bring that up because I thought that was interesting. And I guess there was a similar spat between Disney and Charter that led to, as we know, several channels coming off and going dark on that, but they resolved it last month. So just be curious to see what happens here, if it changes anything. And so,
for sure.
With that, back to sports.
And who knows? So, as any college football follower knows, the college football playoffs are set to begin next season. And there has already streaming services companies are starting to line up to try and get their pieces of the pie. And with realignment going on, that will be happening en masse next season. The college football playoff is going to be undergoing expansion from 4 to 12 teams. And ESPN currently holds the rights to those games initially. But starting in 2026, they will be spread across multiple networks. And that is something that that's furthering what we have seen with NFL games. Likely is going to happen with NBA games, where these games are going to be spread across, in all likelihood, multiple different platforms, which really is not good for us as consumers, as viewers. Front Office Sports reports that NBC Universal is one of the media companies that initially expressed interest to the CFP last week in acquiring the rights to future playoff games. And it's also now come out yesterday, I believe it was, that Apple and Amazon are also interested. Both of them were reportedly interested in trying something for the Pac-12, but neither of those came to fruition. And from what I've read this morning, there's 9 or 10 platforms that are looking at trying to get a piece of the college football playoffs. NBC specifically, with Peacock, they signed its first major conference media deal in its 100-year history with the Big Ten. And Big Ten Saturday night is their big deal. It's a prime time slot for Big Ten model stuff. And so, for example, the Ohio State Notre Dame game got 10.6 million viewers for them, the most of any college football game that week, and NBC's second most watched college football game in history. And so it will be interesting to see what happens there. And with it being basically 2 years from now, there's definitely time for there to be bandying about back and forth to see who gets it. My hope is it stays to 1 or 2 services. Most college football is right now ESPN or Fox, but I'm anticipating that not being the case. I'm anticipating it being several services that get involved and get their part of the pie. Just
kind of like what's happened with the NFL, and it brings up a related point. I want to show you guys this article on Streamable. If you have a chance, you can go read it. It was a really interesting one, but it was just talking about that, as like John's saying, sports are being spread across streaming services. Kind of the new question isn't like what's on, it's where is it? Where is it on? And as the outlay in sports has grown, so has the number of broadcasters who hold the rights to the different leagues to show the games. And there's an advantage for the networks in this, because even though, say, someone like NBC isn't going to get everything, they're going to get something, and they're going to be able to share the cost, the really expensive cost to carry the rights across networks. So it's kind of good for them, but I think it's confusing for us as consumers, and it's bad because if we want to watch everything, we have to subscribe to multiple services, which multiple bills to handle, multiple things to remember where it is. It's not leading to a good experience for us, even if it is good for the companies, shocker, who are doing it for their own, kind of best interests. But
and I'll add, that's especially the case for people that aren't used to streaming or are fairly new to streaming. I talk with people weekly that are, they want to go watch their team's game. but it's on a streaming service and they're not used to streaming, or they're on cable, and it's challenging for them. We're in it all the time, and people that watch our channel, many are very comfortable with it, and so it's going to continue to be a challenge, unfortunately.
And I have not seen, Jen, anything about Fox releasing a standalone streaming service.
No.
But it does bring up a related point that Disney, as we know, is bringing direct-to-consumer ESPN app, and that could help us here because ESPN has so many rights to so many sports that it could make things a little easier for us. So, yeah, that's kind of that. And John, did you want to talk about Vidgo?
Yeah, sure. So, and yes, Fox does own Tubi, and it'll be interesting to see how more viewership is going towards Tubi and what Fox does to invest in that and build it out more. As Nicole mentioned, Vidgo, we're not fans of the service. They're too high priced, and for forever they didn't have a DVR, and now they do, but it's through some third party. And anyway, they have been having issues. They've been down supposedly for the last week or so. What has been a prolonged outage. It's a vendor issue, is what they're calling it, a third-party vendor issue, that a third-party vendor that they use for their service. So this disruption uses it to power parts of the app, and they offer something like 100 channels. They are offering extended service credits to current customers to get 2 free weeks, as well as $10 off their monthly plans for the next 6 months, or until they cancel their plans, whichever comes first. I read this morning that they are not planning on going out of service. Who knows? It would not surprise me at all to see them go by the wayside. And they really, they don't have all the locals, and their DVR is wonky, and they're too high priced, and it would not surprise me to see them go.
And we're getting a few questions in the chat. We can address those. In terms of, is it worth it? Charles, you're asking, is it worth it to use a gaming console as a streaming player, or the built-in apps on a TV? And we actually have a video coming out on streaming devices and smart TVs, and our smart TVs making streaming devices obsolete. So keep a lookout on the channel for that. We are tackling this question in there, but I will say now that if you have like a PS4 or 5 already, try it. And you try some free streaming apps, even if you aren't currently subscribed to them, and see what your experience is like on there. My only thought with a gaming console is that you could potentially, you'd have to use your gaming controller to navigate, and that could potentially be a little not as great or as easy as just using a remote. But in terms of the apps on your TV, if you have a smart TV and it has the apps you want, use it. Use it. And then, streaming devices are a lot easier to replace, and they're cheaper than a TV. And so if there comes a point where you find like your TV doesn't have the app you want, you can always buy a streaming device. But we kind of tend to tell people, go with what you have already. And so, there's that. And then in terms of Fox, you want to answer Jen's question on that? She says Fox is the only channel they miss since they use Sling.
Are you able to use an antenna, Jen? If so, that's that's really honestly the best way. And unfortunately, Sling doesn't have it. So that's really the best recommendation that I would give.
We have several Mohu leaf antennas in our home, and that's what we use for our locals, and it's great. And I think they cost $50 to $60 up front.
Depending on what. Just
depending on what you buy, but
what model you get.
If you don't live somewhere really rural where you need a big antenna, it's a one-time cost, and you'll get a nice HD signal for your locals for many years as you want to use the antenna.
Hey, Space Ghost.
So we really only just have one other thing to cover, and then, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat, because we're happy to continue to answer those. But just wanted to provide a quick update on the writer's strike. If you all We're following the news on that one, but the writer's strike is over. The actors are still striking, but this was the second longest writer's strike in history. The longest one was just like 7 days longer, and that was in 1988. And I thought this was interesting. This was the first joint Hollywood strike since the Kennedy administration. Just thought that was interesting. But just in terms of what shows are coming back now that the writers are working, you'll see talk shows back first, daytime and nighttime talk shows. And then some of the more high-profile written scripted shows, and dramas and stuff, that's all going to take longer to come back. But the ones that are already getting their writers back include The Last of Us, Billions, Stranger Things, Handmaid's Tale, Hacks, Severance, Yellow Jackets, and Abbott Elementary. And I'm sure there's more than that, but I was able to find that those are getting all their writers back. But since the actors are still striking, filming can't begin yet.
Yeah.
And then just one last little note about the strike that I found interesting was that, as we know, like one of the very first concerns the unions had was to set up a revenue sharing process for actors of hit streaming shows, where they would get some kind of payment based on how well the show performs, how many people stream it. And the studios have been absolutely unwilling to do that. But it's interesting because they do share their revenue with the sports leagues, NFL, NBA, and we know how much money those are making. So, they're willing to do it there, but they're not willing to do it for talent of non-sports shows. So I just find that interesting. So.
Well, they have to if they want it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I guess the leagues hold the power there.
Yes, they do. NFL absolutely holds the power. NBA does as well. Yeah, I've been reading that. Renee brings up the point about Drew Barrymore trying to start her show back during the strike, and her 3 head writers are now refusing to return. And it's interesting to watch. And Bill Maher tried the same thing, and after getting some flack, he chose not to. And I don't know if anyone else high profile enough did that, but those were the 2 that were really in the news. And it was interesting to see that if you can't get talent on air for your talk show, what's the point? Then they're just there talking to the camera.
Yeah, that is interesting. Thank you for bringing that up, Renee. I missed that, but I wonder if that's like a move of solidarity, standing with the writers, or if it's more about how Drew maybe is off camera. Like maybe she's not great. I have no idea. I don't know if there's a lack of felt loyalty there on the writer's part or if it's like she got so much blowback that if they were to return and write, then they would be kind of also getting similar blowback. It could just be a political thing, but
yeah,
political in terms of how people can be with each other, not politics like government.
Yeah.
So glad you got an outside antenna, Bobby. That's great that you love it. I think we often overlook antennas, but we shouldn't, because especially as we see these streaming services are only going to get more expensive, it really is going to become more important to have an antenna to get as much as you can for free. Yeah,
and like Renee said, Phoenix games, Arizona team games are going to be over the airwaves, and that's great. Have an antenna, you can get it. And who knows how that's going to play out with Bally and their issues as they prolong.
Right. You can still run ads in free TV, as we all know, so they can still make money that way.
Yeah.
Great. Well, unless anyone has any other questions, I think we will sign off. Thanks for spending about half an hour of your day with us, and we will not be on next week.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for remembering that.
Yep. So.
Yeah, Nicole will be in sunny San Diego with our youngest to see her parents. So you don't want me for half an hour on my own. Trust me.
But we will plan to be back the Friday after that. Yeah. So in the meantime, just make sure that you have like notifications turned on so you can That way YouTube will ping you when we put out a new video, because we do have some good ones coming out over the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
So hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll just sign off by saying, go Cats!
Yes.
Since we play tonight.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.